Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derbies, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast. Excited to have you along for the ride here for this one, episode number 413. Brian is not going to be able to make it. The sports schedules for the schools had come out middle of last week, and all the sports programs are going to be practicing, loosely speaking. The fall sports programs are going to be practicing from 3 to 5:30 or from 4 to 6 at the various different fields. Thankfully, none of them are going to be at the high school because I'm pretty sure they're not going to get that facility done in time for school to start, but that's they didn't ask my opinion on it, so we'll just let it go at that. Nonetheless, Brian not going to be here for this one. When we do get back to school next week, practices are going to be capping at 5:30, so he'll pack up from football and he'll make it over, and we'll be seeing him again next week. So appreciate everybody tuning in and hanging out with us. It's been a busy week of planning and preparing for this. Mainly, most of it was focused over the weekend, just trying to finalize the last few parts and pieces. We've been hearing us talking about the Iron City Nationals, and tonight we're proud to announce that officially everything has been green lighted, and Crash Course is going to be working with Iron City TV, and we're going to be back with Derby Nation as well, and hosting the pay-per-view event at the New Alex Lions Club with Derby Nation and the support of Art Rourke at Dirt Track Digest and Land of Legends TV. We've got some help there. Iron City TV is coming back full force. We've got everything kind of where we want it. We do have a few final things to test, but I'm pretty confident of where things are at. I know Brian wanted to be here for the conversation. I know he was excited about it. Steve and Todd Siopa, their mom and aunt's birthday were today, so those guys are a little tied up. They're not going to be able to make that possible, but we did want to get that information out a little bit so that people knew what to expect. You're not going to want to miss it in person. It's going to be one of the best shows that you've had the chance to go visit. I love that facility, New Alexandria, Pennsylvania. They've had a couple Iron City Nationals there before. This doesn't even discount or begin to scratch the surface of all the work that Alex Vasco has put in over there, working with the Siopas. So we're hoping that we're going to be able to incorporate some of the stuff from All for Him Racing into that as well. It's been a long 2 months of testing just in the travels to Pennsylvania and stuff to try and make stuff work. We had the support of Frankie Guy and Mark Elliott over there at Warzone. We weren't able to put that together, unfortunately, by no fault of their own. There just simply wasn't any internet over there. But big thank you out to all the folks at the New Alex Lions Club and Aaron Lyons himself, who's helped coordinate all the stuff, getting the lines and stuff dropped so that we can make this happen. And proud to say that Iron City TV is rolling forward, and the Iron City Nationals will be available on Derby Nation coming up here in a couple weeks. So looking forward to that. I see Matt Evans already checking in the live chat. Good to see you there, sir. And I know you hung out with us for the course of the weekend as well, cheering on Team Prodigy, Lee Sager, and Alex Seeger got hung up. That's probably a poor term to use in terms of the Relation Derby Project stuff. They got tangled up in the B main, finished a little bit further down the list than they probably wanted to. They weren't able to cross that over into the A main feature of RDP, two-man team Rampage at the virtual Golden Spike Arena. We'll dive into that a little bit later at the top end of the show, but Alex was able to pull down that Mad Dog Award for Team Prodigy, and then Bubba James, Lee's boy, he drove that Crown Vic. Got the qualifying heat win, but wasn't able to get nearly as deep probably as they wanted, as they were able to. They did make the start in the A main, but they weren't able to put that package together all the way. Some quick results here. Woodstock, Ontario, 57 cars registered, 49 cars hit the track for Impact. That's the group that we always tell you about up there that is continue to do such great work. Christy Germain and Devin Germain up there. And it was a little bit of a reunion, if you will. I Am Demolition and Brian McClung ended up taking the car from Florida up there, and they were able to put that in victory lane. So I Am Demolition, still the champs at the Woodstock Fair. If I'm not mistaken, that is the hometown fair for Ron McClung. Other results from up there: Rodney Otto got first place. Joe Clark was second. Sean LeBlanc was third. Joe got the Mad Dog Award as well, the figure eight class. Braden Milligan got the win over Jason Gilbert. Pro Stocks, James Adam got the win over Dan Shearer. Pro Stock V8, like we said, that was Brian McClung. Cole Shearer was second. And then Darren General was third. Mad Dog Award went to Darren General. Longest haul to Jason DuPont. Best dressed, Shade Gagne, just like always. So that's some of the rundown on what we had from up there at Woodstock. We've got some other topics that we wanted to make sure that we touched on through the course of our show. But first, before we do that, we did want to take a minute to recognize one and only Jason Droz is going to be making an appearance, and Jason is no question a character, and even has his own walkout music, which I don't know if we've ever actually had anybody have their own walkout music for the episode. But Jason was busy over there at in Upperco running with Dead Man Derby, and then we also had he's got some plans together for San Filippo, got some stuff that he's working on for some other stuff happening in and around his home area. So without any further ado, just wanted to take a minute to welcome Jason Droz to the show. Jason, man, how are you?
Can you hear me,
Jason?
Chris?
Yeah, I'm here. Was the music too loud?
Nah, it was pretty loud, man. How's everything going?
It's playing again. I don't want it to play again. There we go. Try and get it to stop. Well, Jason, sorry if it was too loud. I apologize for that. But why don't you get y'all hopped up for this? Because your Facebook post was making everybody really wonder exactly what was happening.
Man, I have so many things going on right now, Chris. I'm not even sure exactly what you're referring to. Which one?
I don't know. You can pick any one of them and start.
Well, Friday, I'm selling everything out here. There's probably two pieces that won't go. They're kind of sentimental, but other than that, everything Derby related can go.
I'm just kind of stunned at that.
It's I'm gonna tear down and rebuild. I need the assets to chase some other opportunities right now. You know, life is about timing, and right now I need the money. I need to cash in. It'll be worth it. In the long run, it's gonna work out. I truly believe it will. It's kind of sketchy.
What do you mean?
The wife's a little nervous.
What do you mean it's kind of sketchy?
She's nervous about it, you know. I mean, but she sees the vision, but it's still scary to say everything's gonna leave.
So in terms of the stuff, you know, I misunderstood initially when some of the stuff was coming out, the news about the auction. Is anything spoken for ahead of time, or is it only stuff that's being sold that day?
No, I literally stopped all pre-sales when I said I was going to have a sale out here this Friday.
Perfect.
I didn't want to deal with it. I don't want to post a bunch of stuff and have people say, hey, I want this, I want that. I mean, if you want it, show up with the money. That's really all it takes, you know.
Right. So
it's definitely going to be cash only.
Between that and the post that you'd made about running an Upperco and some of those whippersnappers not necessarily respecting their elders.
Oh, it was a great day down there on Saturday. What TJ and his crew of guys have done over there is it's amazing. They took a track that's always been kind of crappy. It's mainly been racers that supporting and showing up and running all the time. The Derby's kind of died off. You know, TJ wants to bring the Derby back in, but it just is not happening right away. But he's doing good stuff with the track, and every show is good, and more people show up. So it's just going to take time. But it's definitely way more promising than it has been for at least 20 years since I've been around there.
You can't go wrong with that.
That was actually the first time I ever ran figure eight. It was a blast.
Really?
I want to do it again with a car that actually runs well. This one was easy, and I got some help stripping it. I just had to work on it maybe 10 hours, 12 hours, and loaded it up and took it and ran it. And we won some money. It didn't run great, but it probably prevented me from tearing it up.
Right.
And it was probably better off that it didn't run well. I couldn't find the gears. I really struggled. It was an Infinity. I guess I'm used to driving more low end cars, not fancy stuff like that.
You ever drive anything like a Thunderbird?
Not a lot of Ford stuff. I
No.
did run a LTD. I think it was like a 72 two-door. I ran it at my fair and got flat tires, and then I took it to Buck Motorsports Park. It was the very first time I ran up there. It was like 2000, and I used the back the whole time and just blew the back off of it. Got stuck. The car was on fire. I was freaking out. And my local fair where I had been running for the last couple of years, like, but there's a little flash. People are yelling, fire in a hole, and everybody's jumping the fence and running out there. It's a big deal.
Right.
And these people at this motorsports park is like, hey, settle down, idiot. It's fine. So finally, they came over there and sprayed me in the face with a fire extinguisher. I mean, I asked for it. I was nervous, but kind of embarrassing. But through the carway after that, but it was my first run. Rachel was actually close to having Lexi. That's why it's also memorable. She thought I was nuts going to the Derby, and a friend of me supported us and took the car up there and helped me get it all together and stuff. It's what started me going there, and then a bunch of other guys from the local fair, they started going up there as well. Some guys had been running prior, but a whole bunch of people literally started playing up there. It was a good place to take a leftover car.
Couple different things jump off the page just from that. One, if you do decide that you ever want to dive into Thunderbirds, I can pass on some phone numbers. I know a couple guys.
I think you should just pass it on to your friends in my area, the guys in the virtual derby stuff. There's some right local to me that he absolutely loves those cars. I personally don't have nothing against turd birds. I just think that they're lame.
That's exactly the guy I was talking about. Yes, we're talking about the same person. More so, don't breathe in the stuff with the fire extinguishers. If we've learned nothing in Derby, then at least remember, don't breathe that stuff in. That stuff's crazy.
Everyone has settled down over the years a little bit, and they just kind of relax a little bit more. And sometimes it's dangerous, and they should react faster, and they're not prepared. But I'd say for the most part, like our local shows that we see, they all do pretty good. They have good personnel around there all the time, and they take it serious. They're actually watching. They're Derby fans as well, so we kind of work back and forth with them and tell them, hey, relax a little bit, and if the fire's coming out of here, be concerned, and if you see it down here, it's more than likely this. Just keep kind of watching. You'll see what's happening.
Right.
The driver lets you know if he's in trouble. That's the first place you should look if you see a flash. Don't keep looking. Look and see what the driver's doing. He's probably already known about the issue.
Was that something as simple as just having the exhaust manifold still and the flash was under the car? Was it a legitimate fire?
I mean, sometimes it's just a cat. If you leave a cat right off the manifold and it's kind of clogged up, it starts shooting big sparks and fire out there, and it's a glowing, red underneath the car. Folks that don't know and they haven't really seen it, they're just like, hey, that guy's riding around and he's on fire. Look how everything's illuminated. You can see it all now. And if you were educated and or someone beside you that was educated, you could say, hey, look, this is okay. Settle down. I just think that sometimes maybe they should be in more communication with the track personnel.
Sure.
Just so everybody's on the same page. At least one person, whoever's in charge of the team.
I saw you trading some messages on the post today with Josh Decker. Josh had a mod car that was put together at Jesse Keel's place up in Minnesota to take to, I think it was Pine City. I don't think it was Bird Island. Over there. What's that?
You gonna get beat up over there?
Well, no.
They put him in a good car.
This was years ago. This was I think it was up in Minnesota when we were up there, and the car ended up catching on fire, and there was some sequence of events where I guess he looked over and realized that he had a window net, so he had no choice, but he had to put his hands, thankfully he was wearing gloves, he had to put his hands in the fire to climb out through the window over the part that was on fire, and then got out of the side, and you could see him on the ground next to the track just kind of trying to brush the fire off of his pant legs and stuff. It was a scary situation, and nobody else really seemed overly concerned, but it was a heck of a time, man. It made for a great story now that everybody was okay.
Things happen fast, and you don't know if it's serious or if everybody's going to be okay, and it's just part of the show.
So let's double back to this the sale where everything's going to be up for grabs. You said that you're selling everything off with the intention of investing back in, so sort of sell off and buy back in. We've seen a number of drivers in Western New York have done that every so often. They just sell everything off because it's got runs, it's got use, it's time to catch back up with the times, and they use that money to invest in a new engine, new power plant, or whatever it might be. So I'm glad that this is something where you're going to stick around the sport in one way, shape, or form. I was concerned that this might be a full-on sell-off and you were just going to walk away.
No, absolutely not. Just selling my stuff it's kind of hard to let go of.
Sure.
But it's really what I need to do. You know, we are behind. Everything that I've had it's none of it's high dollar stuff. It's good stock stuff and stuff that, people want, but it's nothing fancy and it can't last forever. I can tell you it all runs good now, but I can't tell you what it's going to do tomorrow.
Right.
But I run them hard. I can promise you that. And Lex, she struggles sometimes, so she runs them hard just so they don't shut off, and it ends up being fun. She enjoys it.
When was the last time she had the chance to get out?
She ran it Mini Meltdown, and ran 60 Fury in the Economy V8 and finished second. It was a great time.
You guys have anything? If it was a 60s Fury, it might not have been old enough to qualify as a relic class car. Did you guys have anything laying around for the relic class that maybe won't get sold off?
I did have something that qualified for Smash It's relic. It was a 63 Newport, but I actually sold it to a gentleman along with a subframe that came from the Klechner collection. When I went up there and cleaned out his stuff toward the end when he was selling out. He just had a big pile of M frames, and he shot me a price and we loaded a couple on, and he's like, "You want more?" And I'm like, "Heck yeah." And he did an amazing job loading it on there. I took a pictures. I wish it'd pop back up in memories because I just recently switched phones and don't have access to everything that I had.
Sure.
But it was the first piece that I let go from all those frames. So, I'm ready to let the rest of them go.
Right.
I don't need them all. And I know where more's at,
You know where more, you know where more are.
I can't use them all. I definitely do.
Wait a second. People are clamoring to find that information. Is that something that people can purchase when they get down to the complex?
It could happen. Those folks are likely going to be right around you. I ain't going to tell you that's the guy. You need to buy my stuff.
Wow, you got
and
embedded
maybe
agents.
I'll pick up the other stuff and come back and I'll sell you some more. Who knows? It works out however it works out. I got some friends that are bringing some stuff over and putting it on consignment, and I'm totally good with that. It's just more stuff. It's just helping everybody. I got a lot of stuff that is like kind of modern stuff and stuff that's beginning stuff, and it's all stuff that can be used. Just sometimes in a pinch when you're trying to put together a couple cars, you need another setup of stuff. So I thought that could actually benefit a lot of people who are just trying to get going. I like quite a few parents that come over to buy parts on the regular for kids getting into the youth.
Sure.
So that's cool. A couple more guys came the other day. They just got my name from word of mouth from another guy that his brother and I worked together quite a bit. So I just made 2 more friends, and I'm sure it's going to lead to more.
I saw Mike Rozon was posting on your on the post that you made ahead of the show this evening. I haven't seen Mike in a long, long time, but it was funny that he showed up there because he came up in conversation. I was talking to Scott Wallace ahead of the Hartford Fair. Scott Plumshin ended up going down there and doing the announcing job. And we just got talking about what things were like in Scott's part of the state with Smash Masters and where things are at and where things are going and where things have been. And we got talking about some of the good old days with like Carl Schaller and those brick wall cars that always showed up that ran the table in the compacts in Allentown and Andy Chester.
Carl always brings tough stuff. He try to fool you until you gets junk, but don't let him get to. He knows what he's doing.
It was good to see.
His kids know what they're doing.
Good to see his name pop back up on the conversation, and then I started thinking about what was going on with Reading and with Kutztown. Do they have derbies there anymore?
I don't know about Reading, and somebody said Kutztown was over.
Yeah.
You talk about Scott Wallace. He's somebody who was kind of in my area and snuck in and out before I realized who he was. And probably like 7 years ago, I worked with Brett and the Kings of Old School crew, and Scott was their head guy, and just blew me away with his knowledge. I had known Mark Benjamin from those guys do. You know, they build to the rules or whatever you want to call it. But Scott Wallace was way more knowledgeable than Mark ever was. And I have a ton of respect for Mark, and I never seen anybody like Scott handle themselves the way they did that day.
Scott,
it was Rick Clark against Mike Klechner. That's what it came down to. A couple sueys, and I think maybe Klechner had some other guys that were out there on his team and maybe helped him a little bit. But it was an awesome show. Brett let me tech with those guys, but when it come time to officiating, he's like, "Yo, Cat, you got to sit in the stands." And I'm like, "All right, whatever." Rick Clark tried to dupe me on a retech. They was giving him a hard time playing the cat and mouse game all day. And he came back up with his list. He's like, "Hey, can you look at this real quick?" And I looked at it, and it was like, "That's not what he told you to do." I'm like, "Just hold on." And I went and got him. They're like, "Oh, he's sneaky. You got to watch him." And I didn't really know who he was. We had just bought some parts from him. He seemed like a nice guy. You know, we met his family. The girls liked him. And he did awesome. I was like probably one of the first people I've seen give Mike a hard time. And it was cool.
Those two had a great rivalry going for quite a while. Those two were down in Stoneboro, and I almost want to say that both of those guys ended up, at least one of them ended up making that trip from Stoneboro a couple years ago back up to run at the Otsego County Fairgrounds, one of the Spinning Wheels shows, but I can't remember which show it was. That might have been one of the first San Filippo shows.
Possibly. I know he ran in there a couple times and won the cup a few times. We went up there and ran against him, and I mean, he literally killed me and close to kill my buddy. He put enough of a hurting on him, you know. It's fun. The San Filippo Cup is crazy. All those people in there, different cars, and there's a bunch of different, you know, little battles going on within, and you just get in the mess. But he's definitely out there, like, steady beating people up the whole time. He ain't bagging and trying to hide.
Right. How did you get into the sport to begin with?
My mom took me in the early 80s to watch her uncle, which is my great uncle. And then he passed away. And then my stepfather's boss, his family was into it local here too, same spot. And he did it, his wife did it, and his kids did it that were my age. And they were doing good because, you know, Daddy was buying them good cars. So it just made me want to do it a lot more. And my brother did it, but, you know, I had to wait till I was 18. So, I mean, it was kind of always there, wanting to do it, just a matter of when I could get started.
The live chat's very busy. Chad Dunlap's hanging out there. I think Chad had a couple cars at one of the model contests that was in Ohio over the weekend. If not, maybe
Chad is one of the first characters that we met when we went to Bash for Cash the first time.
Yeah,
he's a good cat. He's fun. The whole model crew is a good group of guys. They're fun to be around.
They're people that I've known for a long time, man. All of them are a ton of fun to talk to and to get to know, and they're all gearing up, trying to get ready for the contest. You know, there's people, Jeremy Schull, Chris Loans, they're all building stuff already, looking forward to Memorial Day weekend at the Bash for Cash next year. I mean,
I literally got burned by one of those guys by not reaching out to the rest of the community first, sending a model and never got nothing out of it. So I went out and got a pair of the same models and having two different cars built now, basically the same cars, but different times.
Sure.
And somebody local here is going to do it for me, so I'm excited to see how that turns out.
What were they? What are the kits that you sent out?
64 Dodge.
Nice.
It was the Ghostbusters Kit. I was trying to mimic a car that I had, I don't even know, 2014 or something, 2015. It was just a little B-body, kind of like the one that Lexi had in the muscle car heat.
Right.
And I ran it out at Bash against the Imperials and stuff.
That kit,
was awesome, by the way. That was very fun.
Running with the Imperials?
Oh yeah, going out there, Dillman, he's the big bad guy from town. He's won a couple times in a row. Like that dude didn't stand a chance. And then his buddy tried to come get some, because I was beating on him, and he kind of got jumped. There's some good videos out there of it, just politics and the way it works out. It's pretty awesome. It was fun.
How did your car do after everything was all said and done? I'm not picking on the junk effect or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. It seemed like that car had shifted awkward underneath the firewall. Was there anything left that you could do with that car, or was that done and over with?
Oh, that thing was broke at both ends.
Yeah.
I never tore one up like that, but I never really ran against nothing like that. That guy at the end that hit me face to like nose to nose, it just kinked my fuel line, and that's what stopped it. But I mean, it tore up everything. There's like nothing in front of the motor. But I just unhooked the fuel line and put a new one in there and started up and drove in the garage and took some parts off it. Drug it back out with a tractor and parked it for another day.
Can somebody bring that home and put that in their own Demolition Derby Hall of Fame if they want to park that back at the house? Or is that staying there?
Mate, the car is still here, but I've not been nice to it. I literally cut some sheet metal off it. I cut a piece off that said Lexi Droz, and I kind of flashed it around to be funny. And I don't know, I just took the cage out of it. I had to reuse everything.
Yeah.
It's just hard to get the stuff right now.
That I understand. Eric Remington was checking in. Nick King was over there.
King. Uncle Rec. We're going to see him in 2 weeks at Iron City. Rachel is really concerned. She's like, you better be nice to these people. Lexi's got to go through take. She's concerned that they're going to give her a hard time in tech.
Are you going through the tech line?
I'm not. I'm going to stay out of it. I got her in trouble before
I was going to
with
say
the dead man guys. They literally just said, hey, bro, you got to go right now.
That's funny.
And half of the crew came up and was like, hey, we're sorry. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like I was right. And they're like, you absolutely were. But I never should have said what I said. It was delivery, timing, and I shouldn't have said it. I understand. And, because I didn't throw a fit, everything was good at the end of the day. Those guys are some of my best friends now. They're all trustworthy people. It's just a heat of the moment type thing, and not poke too far. I'm a bit of an instigator, I guess. I got quite a few haters.
Nick was in action this weekend. He ran at that RDP Team Rampage 2 with Joey Havoc. Havoc 515.
Did he win?
No, they did not.
Oh.
Al
The
Crockett,
team thing, you really can't bag too much. You have to get out there and get after it. Those bagger guys, they don't fare well unless they're with the hammer. Like Heileman, when Sickles gets out there with him, man, you take anybody along with Heileman, he's probably gonna win it for you. The guy's a beast. That area out there, man, there's monsters. Western PA and that part of West Virginia. I don't think so much of Ohio guys. They think they're the sizzle, but like every state around you has better guys than you. Back up. That Ohio is AF. Haha. Uncle Nick.
Let's see. Al Crockett, he was stripping a car. I saw on Facebook he was getting something stripped apart and was in the process of swapping everything over. He had a Diplomat there for a while that he ran, and then I saw Larry Bucknam, and Al can fill me in on more details on that. He had some old relic-looking piece, but it was all purple, all decked out for the Hirsch family. Some purple and bad all over
that
it.
was Chuck. I was actually just up in Massachusetts last week and tried to catch up with Al, but he had some stuff going on with his family that he had to tend to. I just told him, hey, I'll be back. Do what you got to do. It was a shame that it didn't work out. But I reached out to the Bucknam as well up there. I like those guys, and they weren't too far from where I was at. I was up there for work and then rode back through New York and made a couple stops and picked up quite a few derby parts and made some more friends. Made some relationships better.
So we're 7 episodes away from rounding out the teens and moving into the 20s for episode number 420. Are you going to be making the trip up for that particular episode?
I'm going to make that happen, Chris. I'm going to put it on my calendar. I knew it was coming up. That's why I made mention of it. And I'm going to stick to my word.
It's an open
I'm
door.
Definitely a man of my word.
Anytime
Whether
you
it's
want.
a good decision or bad decision, I'll stick to it and own it.
Right on. The 10th and the 11th is the Mike Gilbert Memorial Derby, and that's one of them that Al's getting ready for. We had traded some messages with some of the folks up there. John Klechner, he was real excited about that. When I talked with him, I think he was up in Maine at that point.
We've been wanting to get up there. Mike has reached out to Lex a couple of times, and Rachel, they talked to him. He's great, but it's hard to fit everything in. I mean, the summer's just so busy, and once you've traveled so many places, you have so many friends everywhere, and you kind of plan stuff earlier, and if you forget about something, it messes this up, and whenever Dad decides he wants to run a car, then that throws a wrench into it. You know, it's hard. We try to work together, but most of the time, she's pointing where to go, and I just drive her.
Right.
That's really how that goes. You know that. I told you that a couple years ago.
Yep. The 9th and the 10th is the same, or excuse me, the 10th and the 11th, that's the same weekend as Iron City National. So we're going to be in New Alex, but hopefully everything goes well for Al up there. Matt Evans taking a minute to recognize what the young guys pulled off. Fashionably late. This is Jason Deal. The footage ripping in a T-Bird. Interesting. I might have to see that. Do you know anything about that video where you might be whipping around?
I think they're trying to talk about that Audi. I did a lap in reverse on that figure 8, and it was probably a faster time than my forward lap. I'm not a race car driver, Chris, and I'm actually better at it in reverse. And I don't know. The car was not running right, but somehow in reverse it seemed like it was more steady. When I was driving it in forward, the engine would kick in when I didn't want it to.
Right.
And on the straightaway, it wouldn't do nothing. And I creep across it, and by the time I get to the sharp turn, the car would just take off. And then I have to jam on the brakes, and somebody bumped me in the butt. And it was a struggle. I'm not proud of it, but I didn't kill it. And I got tickets to the Derby.
I want to know what Hunter Wood's talking about. So how to talk about Jesse without saying his name. We're going to go into that stuff at the end. So I mean, there's going to be some RDP conversation at the end of the show. So I'm not really sure exactly what that meant, but I'm happening upon that. Maybe we get some further details. Frankie Guy and Scott Kiefer and now James Sisko as well. They are really excited to listen to you on the radio because you've got a good radio voice.
Frankie and Michelle are the man. I don't know what's going on right now, Chris. Literally, I have all these irons in the fire everywhere, and everything is popping like literally right now. So it's pretty awesome. It's exciting. It's a good time to be. I got somebody courting me to do a podcast with them, and has real support from people that I know, and I know they have the equipment and know how to make it happen. So it's fun to see everybody see things happening. And now I don't even know where you reaching out to me came from, but it's an honor. I've waited for it forever, and made a joke about this morning in the house that I'm like, hey, Chris hit me up. He's like, hey, come on. And I looked at her, and she just looked at me, and I was like, it only took me 2 years. And she laughed, and we moved on. She's so darn serious all the time. She's just so focused on what she's doing and her goals.
What caught my attention was the fact that we hadn't had a chance to catch up on the show. On top of I thought we tried to put something together back in one of the trips that we were down in Florida. You and I talked for probably an hour and a half out behind the grandstands for a while down at I think it was one of the Iron City shows down in Florida, and we had tried to put something together, and then it just didn't gain the traction, and then I think eventually after that Lexi came on, and we talked about the Demo Derby Life magazine, and between that and seeing that everything was for sale, kind of sparked my interest, like what exactly was happening with that. So it's good. I mean, I'm glad that we're able to catch up, and there's further details certainly to come as the rest of that stuff develops, I hope.
I'm gonna drop one more thing on you. We're trying to get a derby together for Thanksgiving weekend, like Friday, have a swap meet and some country music, and then Saturday, literally have a derby and rock music. It's going to be run what you brung style, show up basic safety inspection, and we'll sort you out and put you with folks with like builds.
I think that would be really cool.
I have the blessing from, in my mind, the best that I've seen in the business at sorting those cars out and putting them where they belong. I'm not having any part of it. I have enough friends that are willing to help, and people have been reaching out. Everybody wants to be a part of it, and it's so awesome. I didn't know how your call today tied into all that, or somebody's telling you some other stuff that's going on in the dark. Because I don't really put everything out there. And Lexi's really quiet. You know, she does her thing and I do my thing. We just happen to be together. You know, she's my daughter. I try not to influence her because she don't want to hear it. And I'm kind of the same way. Sometimes it's frustrating, but in the end, you know, when I really think about it, it's really a proud moment as a father. You know, she can stand on her own feet. I'm not worried about her. Whatever she does in life, these experiences that she's getting now are going to help her to make everything else seem easy. She's killing it. Just can't say enough.
That's excellent.
I remember you told me you had currents with her burning out, you know, doing it, keeping the content going and stuff. And I mean, I've definitely seen all that stuff.
Yep.
That conversation you were talking about down in Florida. I mean, I definitely seen every stage that you talked about, but she never stopped. You know, even during COVID and everything, she got a little more creative. And now with everything going, you know, people like, if she wants to work with them, they're all about it. You know, some of the past connects that she had that weren't very warm to her when she reached out. You know, not everybody's like, hey, come on, we want to be a part of what you got going on. You know, most are, but not everyone. But now what she has is just about everybody coming back. And it's amazing. And
there's nothing to complain about there. You know, there's a lot of times where people are asking, like, how do you gain traction? How do you get that voice? How do you get that reach? And the biggest thing is start local and take whatever conversation you can get, and then as the traction builds out, just continue to flesh out that idea and learn the lessons local so that it doesn't affect you as things get more regional and then more across your home area and then eventually national. I mean, she built it the right way. It worked out perfect.
Yeah, she's killing it out there. And that's why I think her mother's a little concerned with me doing what I want to do might negatively affect what she does. But I think because we've always been separate, she doesn't really lean on me and I don't lean on her. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. The
Chad
4th
is
of July
talking about
weekend.
Heading out to Portland this weekend. You're not going out to Dead Man this weekend, are you?
Who, to go see Terry? Nah. This weekend I'm committed to go to the Buck on Saturday and announce for Zane the new Derby, the new owner at the Buck.
Gotcha.
He asked me to come for the Derby. There's a little grudge match there, and they want to hype it up. It's cool. It's two guys that literally been talking trash. Everybody's tired of hearing it, but it's funny. It's entertaining. But somebody probably doesn't like it. You know, one of the two don't. So it's like put up or shut up. I think it's awesome. Settle the beef. Get out there and do it. So we got some ideas. It'll be a good show. On 4th of July, they invited me up there to do it, and it went really well. And TJ McCullough was actually there watching and came over and talked to me afterwards. And he's actually the guy who's courted me to try to do the podcast stuff with him. So Alex Vasco is the other guy.
Right.
I don't like trying to keep stuff in the shadows. You know, I just like to put stuff out there. I'm not shady. You know, I can just be cool with everybody, and that's easy enough. You don't like who my friends are, that's your problem.
Right.
You have yours and I have mine. It doesn't mean that we can't be friends. It's your decision.
That's right.
There's good people out here, though. You don't run across too many issues. Traveling with two pretty girls definitely helps a lot. You know, I think they diffuse a lot of stuff. I'm glad I don't bring those two trouble like I brought, you know, some of the family members when we were all growing up. You know, I became a lot more mature and just kind of be quiet and let things play out and realize that, hey, that was really nothing to get upset about. You know, it's just nothing.
How much has the sport changed as you were coming up through and those family that are still around that were driving when you were just getting involved with the sport back in the 80s and going there and watching your uncle and everything? What's their take on what the sport's influence is and what the sport has become from where its roots were?
There's literally probably 20 to 30 guys in the area that still are a part of it. And I mean, they're all competitive. And when everybody gets out there at the same time, nobody can really predict what's going to happen. You know, the guys that have won a lot of times, they've been exposed at this point as baggers, and, you know, and then guys who want to take guys like that out usually get them, or at least distract them enough so they can't putt around to the end. You know, everybody kind of keeps everybody in line. And as far as tech, the same way. We don't have the best tech crews, but the guys kind of patrol themselves in the pits a little bit.
Sure.
Sometimes guys squeals, and there was a couple guys that gave him some heat about it, and I seen it from a distance and realized it was such a big deal. I just kind of caught the tail end of it, and it looked like it was over with. Then the guy walked away, but I'm sure 2 weeks later everybody's fine. You know how it is; emotions run high.
Hopefully.
Everybody's human, and everybody's entitled to a bad day. Doesn't make them a bad person, as long as they show up and eat it and say, "Yeah, I did it," and we'll move on.
We were talking a little bit. Chad Dunlap was talking about getting out to the next Dead Man show, Dead Man Derby. It's all available online. That's going to be a 3-day show streamed on DerbyNation.tv. It's going to be produced by Derby Tees. It's going to be Friday. Those are the youth compacts. Action starts with youth compacts. And then the Super Stock and the Dead Man Pro minis, all those on Friday. Saturday action starts at 3. The Power Wheels are on the schedule there. The Super Stock Consi, the Youth Full Size Dead Man Pro Mini Consi, the Half Ton Truck, Street Stock V8, Compact V8, and the Pro Stocks. Then that wild 6-foot class. Action starts Sunday at 1. That is the main event. Bone Stock Compacts, the Co-Pilot class, the Mini Trucks, Dead Man Pro Minis, and the Super Stock features. On the topic of the mini trucks, King Smash 'em Crash 'em had a junk run as part of their 1,000 to win 4 and 6-cylinder chain and bang show up there at the Fulton Speedway here this weekend. Freddie White from Fulton got another win. He was in the studio a couple weeks back with Zach Herman, and things have really turned around for Freddie. He's got a great year coming together for him up there. We got to follow up with him because he hadn't really talked much about being as busy as it turns out he's been. And not only has he been busy, but he's been successful. Jim Sherman from Syracuse won that 750 to win junk run for King Smash 'em Crash 'em Demolition Derbies at Fulton Speedway. That was a fun one to find the news on when we were going through some of the results from the racetracks. And that one popped up, so that was cool. And then there's Matt Shepard. He won the modified feature and the track championship at Orange County Fair Speedway over in Middletown. I saw they are advertising an Eve of Destruction type program over there, so that might be something that we kind of try to keep our eyes on as that comes together. Jason, if you got a few minutes, we got to run through a couple breaks here, if you don't mind. Can you stay on for another segment? I can't believe how fast it's gone. It's 36:45, but you mind?
It's got by so fast, man. But I'll be on standby. I'll hang out here, man.
Perfect.
Good
All right.
time.
Let me run through some of this stuff quick, and we'll be right back.
Do your work, brother.
RPM Group is a progressive waste management business serving nearly 4,000 residents and businesses around Owego, New York. RPM Group can take care of all your waste management needs. Boasting a fleet of 2 roll-offs and 6 garbage trucks, RPM is fully insured and ready to serve. Ask about asbestos abatement and surveys, interior and exterior demolition, private parties and foreclosures, curbside trash and recycling, all that and more. Click or call, ask for Corey, tell him you heard about him here at the Crash Course Nationals, rpmgroupny.com, or 607-223-8714. Hardcore Demolition Derby. Their crown jewel is coming up on Labor Day weekend. Labor Day lockdown, Stoneboro, Pennsylvania, September 3rd and 4th. On the 3rd, opening round of action, hobby stocks, youth compacts, street stock compacts, minivans, trucks, full-size trucks, and Power Wheels. The 4th, youth full-size, hardcore limited weld, hardcore compact, full-size bone stock, and the Power Wheels on the 4th. And they're going to move just a couple days later to the Route 40 Rumble in Dunbar, Pennsylvania. Hobby stocks, youth and street stock compacts, the Power Wheels. September the 7th is the hardcore limited weld, hardcore compacts, and the Power Wheels. And then the final confrontation, the crown jewel of the October segment of the hardcore tour, October 1st and 2nd. That's also in Dunbar. October the 1st is the hobby stock last chance qualifier, the youth compacts, weld compacts, youth national championship, full-size bone stock. They've got a 70s wire class. They've also got a ladies only heat on the 1st, and then on the 2nd, minivan SUV, street stock compacts, half-ton trucks, hardcore limited weld, hardcore compact championship, and the hobby stock championship. The hardcore series wrapped up the Washington Warzone program on August the 19th. The hobby stocks, James Vandermeer won over George Backus and Rod Pattinson. Hammer awards to Brandon Corwin and Justin Yeager. Hardcore compacts, Ricky Yeager got the win over Rich Fanzenbaker, John Cook, Justin Griffin, and Zach Zuzula got Hammer awards for the hardcore tour. Again, there's a good look at the schedule. Hardcore Derby Promotion says all the details. Hit up Frankie Guy on Facebook or visit hardcorederbypromotions.com. Iron City Nationals are coming up just around the corner. That's going to be September 9th and September 10th. Friday, September the 9th, 7 o'clock start time, stock compact, big Wayne class, two-man extreme class, and the first of the three super stock features. Those are one and dones. There's 3 different flights, and they are all full. Saturday, September the 10th, 6 o'clock start, Power Wheels, Most Wanted Fine Art class, the full-size youth class. Superstock Heat number 2, Superstock Feature number 3. Pits open at 7 o'clock. That's all going to go down at the New Alex Lions Club, 1874 Lions Club Road, New Alexandria, Pennsylvania. www.ironcitypromos.com for additional details. Superstocks, the full-size class, $10,000 to win, and a championship belt for each of those 3. So there's $30,000 right off the top right there. Big Wayne Heavyweight class, $2,500 and a championship belt. Two-man Extreme class, $2,000 and a championship belt. Stock Compact class, $1,500 and a championship belt. Most Wanted Fine Art Street Stocks, $1,500 and a trophy in the youth full size. They get 3 prizes at the end of the night: $700, a championship belt, and a fresh 98-02. Again, rules and entry information. This is also going to be part of the Unified Point Series as well. All that information is online, ironcitypromos.com. And we'll give you the rundown here in just a little bit on some of the results from Smash Demolition Derby Unified Points. We still got to hit up the stuff for Jeffy and Alex Vasco, so we're not anywhere near done yet. But I did notice that we had the Brown Boys Derby team was checking in on the YouTube feed, and Austin Brown bought a Cordoba from Jason back on his birthday. Said Jason was a stand-up guy and wanted to just make a mention, say hello. So that was kind of cool. Blast from the past, Jason.
I just told his daddy an imp, a full frame imp, nice real 2-door one that I got over at Showers Auction. It was just too nice to leave it set there. Literally, I threw a high bid out there, and nobody wanted to challenge me, so I ended up having to eat it and pay it. I could have gotten it cheaper, but I ended up giving $1,000 for it and flipping it for $1,500, so it was worth it. And the Browns are happy. They're good dudes, man. They're scary looking guys, but I can tell you they're not what they look like. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Hunter Woods thought that we were talking about Jesse Myers. We were talking about the Thunderbirds, and that's actually, it wasn't one of the people that had come to mind immediately, but that was kind of interesting. Chad Dunlap said he's got his fingers crossed as a bucket list life goal. He wants to be featured in the Demo Derby Life magazine. And Nick, man, I'm going to butcher his name. I've seen that name come across before. Nick Mizuraka, I think is how to say it. He's looking forward to hearing you announce.
He's from Coatesville. He's been in the game for a long time. He's kind of a shiesty looking guy. Lives on the edge of town, but the kids dig him. He's literally one of the driving forces behind Mason Stacy's success. He got in the car with Mason, and that's when Mason's winning streak started. And Nick was his passenger forever.
Interesting.
So I've gotten to know Nick pretty well over the last couple of years. Like I said, I feed Mason and his family parts to keep those guys going as much as possible.
Jeff McMillan said he's still upset about something. I'm not sure exactly what that was.
James McMillions. That is his name, literally mocking him because somebody on a job he had thought that was his name, and it held him up for a couple of days. And then they interviewed his family at the local fair, and they've been part of it longer than me. They're definitely a huge part of it now. The kids are coming of age, running, more and more of the kids, and they had a big interview and they butchered their name. They called them the McMillers. So today I made a post and called them the McMillers, and then tagged them all in it because no one really responded. I called them McMillions, so I'm still poking. I called him McMillions when he came out to the Buck when they gave me the mic the first time. It was funny. That guy Andy, who's up there full time, I think he looked at me like 5 minutes in and was like, "Hey, bro, you got to put that mic down and leave. Like you're not trying to steal my job." And I'm over there like sweating bullets, like, man, I don't know how this is going. I don't know what's happening. But I just settled in and watched the Derby and realized that I helped out up in the booth there. It was fun to see how things work on the inside. They definitely, from the outside and from the inside, it's 2 different things. But it's cool to see how the end product comes out. They do a good job. It's cool.
The big thing about being on the inside is if you don't tell anybody on the outside what they're missing, then 90% of the time they don't even know that they missed it. So you could miss up 1,000.
I don't talk about my experiences. I just say, hey, I got invited up in here. And I keep that stuff in my hat. Right. One day I might be able to use that stuff to help me with something. But broadcasting it to everybody is not going to help me in any bit.
No.
You gotta gain people's trust. That's what it's all about. You trust me, and I trust you.
That topic came up over the weekend there was a driver that was going a little bit on the reckless side of things at one of the derbies, and got to the point where he just had to, stand on it and go where kind of he didn't belong at the risk of his own peril, so to say. He was either going to be a hero.
Are you talking about the white video, from Western PA? I was kind of getting floated around. It was a driver's door hit. Guy was coming in. The guy who took the shot kind of moved a little bit, and the aggressor didn't slow down.
No, not exactly. That's not the one that came to mind when we were talking about that. But I can see where that would apply. But ultimately, the driver said, I got to trust the people around me too, and they got to trust me because we're all here to do a job. And it's like, well, yes, that is true. That part is true.
I'll tell you, we need to do a better job educating folks about driver's door hits. Like they're not intentional. The guy delivering the shot, he wants the wheel. The guy taking the shot, he wants it in the door instead of his wheel. So that happens all the time, and a lot of stuff is out of your control. So that's why you shouldn't politic with folks and say, hey, I'll work with you, or I won't work with you. And then you get glanced off of somebody and bump into the guy you're supposed to be working with. He gets all butthurt. It's just not worth it. You don't have enough control to be out there making statements like you're doing to the end, especially for a long time. Unless you're a vet driver and you know when to relax and be calm. And then the story's a little different. You know what it's about. You've been around enough people.
There's a lot of people who want to sit in the grandstands, and they'll go back to, they'll be recording it or something, they'll be recording it, and they'll go back and say, well, the last time this person made contact was right here, so they should be timed out. And in reality, the 5 or 6 people trackside, they have the ability to time them in a route. That clock doesn't start immediately when that person didn't make contact. In a perfect world, it would be. It would all be set on, AMB timing and scoring. We watch it on mylaps.com, and we'd be able to know the 60-second shot clock, when it expired, when it started, and everything, and it would be all perfect. And once we get all the cars running on batteries and everything like that in 20 years from where we're at right now, maybe that's something that can be programmed in. But right now, there's a lot of human element that is involved with that. And with that comes a particular tolerance of error. If you're going to go back and litigate a derby that happened at your county fair that you're not an official in and you don't have a car in because you've got the video to prove it, that's not necessarily the place that we need to be arguing that point, because you've got the luxury of stopping video, looking at it from multiple different sides, versus somebody, usually those are the people that are the most upset about the driver's door hits or about the shot clocks and stuff like that. And
I've worked on both sides of the fence, and I can tell you, when you work on the other side, it changes your perception of what's happening inside there.
Yep, very much so. And at the same time, you've got a lot of people that are demolition derby drivers that are willing to see a car staying busy, and if the car's staying busy, then they might assume that they're making hits. Or furthermore, you see somebody who's a driver who's working his butt off, who's ailing, he's got issues, flat tires, especially stock shows where the car's just falling apart. When they make contact, and they're not going to get that clock to start right away because the driver that's on the sideline holding the stopwatch is saying, man, if I was in the spot, I got to give this guy a little bit more time, because if I was in that spot, I would hope that they're giving me a few more minutes too. Right or wrong, that's the kind of thing that happens.
Definitely for the aggressive guys. I wish that, like, if I was in charge, I would literally take all the baggers out and say, y'all over here on the B stage. And all the guys who are out there to get after it, hey, you're on the A stage. And let's look and see where the fans go to watch. They'll be on the A stage until the heat's over, and then they'll walk over and watch the B stage and probably get bored and walk away before the end. It's the way it is. Y'all are cool, but your skill set is not the same. Somebody comes out there and hammers all y'all, like, I eat that stuff up. And if he messes up a little bit and takes a shot he couldn't, and he acknowledges it and nobody's hurt, just deal with it, move on. That's part of the show. Stop crying so much. You can't change things. Just have faith in the guys around the track are doing the best that they can. Inspection in my mind, and putting the cars together is what's important. If you got a good tech crew, you can do a lot of things. And if you have a bad tech crew, whether they're seeing things and allow them to happen, or if you got a crew that doesn't really know what they're looking at, I can side more with those guys because they don't know what they're doing is wrong. If you don't know something, you don't know. But the guys that allow this stuff to happen, like, people need to step up and talk about those folks. There's been a lot of finger pointing, over the off season, this guy and that guy who's carrying all the heat right now. And it's kind of funny. We get a different glimpse from the inside, and I can't wait to spill my side of the story. I know a lot of people, we got friends and connects everywhere, and we're on a good enough basis where folks just openly speak about their experiences, with what's happening there. And when you show up a couple years in a row, you build a rapport with these folks. You find out who's real and who's fluff. It's good. It's a drama.
But
it's awesome. I kind of wish I could go back to not knowing. It was almost better when I didn't realize it was kind of rigged. It's definitely rigged. There's things that happen that people move this around and do that to try to favor this person and that person. Like, I hate somebody trying to dictate the outcome of Derby.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are you doing that? It's its own thing, especially folks with a lot of resources and folks that have won a lot. Like, stop trying to rig Derby so your kids win. Like, I hate you. I have no respect for you.
Right.
And some of the people out there listening, they might know who they are, and they might be a little butthurt right now, but I don't care. I tell my kids and people that work out of my garage, like, go out there and bang them up. Have a good time. If you win, that's awesome. If you don't, you still had a good time. You bag, you're going to go out there. You're going to feel kind of upset with yourself when it's over. Like, what'd you really do? You wasted your ride. It wasn't fun. It really wasn't. Nobody's hyping you up,
Sure.
I like getting people excited, At this point, you kind of know everybody, so
right.
I don't even talk to anybody. I just go out there, and how it plays out, it plays out. If somebody hits me, I'm like, hey, it's on. I don't go out there saying I'm going to take somebody out unless your name is Kevin Greenway. He's at his turn. I'll just go out there and give him a hard time, and I'm kind of his kryptonite. He might be an 8-time champ, but he can't do nothing when I'm out there. It's awesome. I love it.
So
I don't care that I lose.
Well,
he's a great driver. That I'm glad that Deadman gets to see him at Upperco. I mean, he owns the heavyweight class down there in the racing, and he does good in the Derby with freaking race cars. Like, it's obvious he's the wheel man. I'm kind of a nobody in my area. I might be one of the more notarized guys, but really, as far as the top guys, like, I'm toward the top 10, honestly. There's so many animals around here, and it's cool to be friends with them.
Mm-hmm.
They're good people.
So let's take that back. We were talking about the litigation that was happening on the instant replay, and not accounting for the human element and the choices that are made trackside. And then you have the folks that take that, and the drivers who want that to be called to the letter of the law. So everything wants to be split down the center as long as they get the bigger half. They're the ones that get the favors, but when they're trying to win the Derby, they want everybody else covered to the letter of everything, and that sort of stuff. So there's part of it, but where's the onus then, in your opinion, when a car comes through tech? And I'm not even worried about the conversations about, it was like that when I bought it, the gray area conversation stuff. When you bring a car that you know for sure, when you know for sure that a car is cheated, and you get called out by an inspector who does know what they're looking at, and then you turn around and you make a big scene and talk about how the promoter's carrying on and this and that and the other thing. And the fact is, there's often no space in the conversation with Demolition Derby that takes into consideration the fact that the drivers sometimes are also the jerks in these equations.
They absolutely are. I'm glad that I was never part of social media. But 2015 to 2017, I traveled all over the Northeast and went to derbies and inspected and officiated, and got to meet so many people and make relationships based on who they were in person and not who they were trying to perceive in the public who they were,
Right.
And most of the guys who are big name guys, I'll let you know, they're all a bunch of cheaters. There's some good drivers out there who will win in whatever you put them in. But usually those good drivers end up in some cheated shit, and who can stop those guys?
Sure.
I mean, there's some guys out there that are totally unstoppable, and it's cool to see them go somewhere and get beat up by other people because numbers win.
Yep.
That's just how it works.
It's better to bring a friend.
You can't fight numbers.
Sometimes it's more fun to go out of town where you don't know anybody. Live chat's still busy. We're trying to keep up with everything. Tyler Smay liking the conversation. Nick's out there.
I can tell you that in Cecil County, you don't want to show up from the outside, because even though most of the guys that are in there like have their own little internal battles, when somebody comes in from the outside, like they literally just circle the wagons and destroy that guy. Andy Anderson came through there and literally walked through a heat and was walking around all cheesing. You know, he's a great guy and he's a great driver. But when he went out there in the feature, those guys, I mean, laid it on him for like 3-4 minutes, and he just like put his head down and drove his car and said, "Hey, I've had enough. Like, I'm not getting up in here, but my butt kicked forever." These guys just like jumped on him and hammered him. I thought it was cool. It made me happy for my area that the guys could get together over someone who doesn't live here.
Right on.
As much as we hate each other, we're still family. We don't really hate each other. We're just not the best. That's just not hate, you know? It's really not hate. And people need to learn that whatever happens on the track, like, leave it there. That doesn't change that we were friends before the derby. What happens on the track afterwards? Everybody gets to do whatever they want. They pay their entry fee to get out there and have fun. So stop judging what they do. And if you really think you have such an opinion so strong, get in a car and go out there and do it yourself. And you'll realize it's not what it looks like from the stands. I can promise you, no matter how many times you've seen it, or on video. This video does Derby no justice.
Is your Thanksgiving Derby going to have an A stage and a B stage?
I'm gonna leave that up to my guys who know how to sort it out.
Right.
Literally, whatever shows up, prepared and feel confident that we can put you in a class where you belong. Perfect. Like, I don't want to deter anyone, no matter what build you got for what place you were taking it to. You know, these guys that I've been talking to and have in mind, like, literally they can sort you out where you belong. And if you think that they've done a bad job, just do me a favor and keep that and think about it. Run the heat and get out and look at it afterwards. And then we can talk about it, because nobody's perfect. But for the most part, these guys really know what they're doing. And I have 100% faith in them. And they can keep it good and make for a good, fair show is what people want. And people are tired of the rig stuff. People are tired of the rule changes. You know, you got guys that are out there screaming, "Hey, I'm the sanctioning body," trying to get people together. Like, personally, I think that cat's a clown. But the stuff that he's saying makes a lot of sense. It's just everybody has too big of an ego to get together and work on it. You know, from Lexi's part in the world, you know, I get to show up to these places where there's big meetings amongst promoters and get the inside on what's really happening, and know some cats that got in there that shouldn't have been in there, and you know, they got to hear about it, and I got to hear a couple of different perspectives, and it's interesting. I mean, I could have prejudged exactly where every person would have leaned toward, you know, prior to going into it, but I didn't realize the line was so divided, you know.
Doesn't have to be.
No, it really doesn't. There's so many amazing people in this game that I'm glad that Lexi's position allows us to be neutral with everyone. And literally, I can walk around wherever I want, like VIP style, and stick my head in or under any car, and no one has ever said a word to me. The last time somebody messed with me, it was at like Mountain Springs. It was probably 2016. Some dudes, they started heaving rocks over the car, and I just kind of looked and laughed. And then the pretty girls popped out the other side, and they just like tightened up, and all of a sudden their voices changed. And they started talking to them. And I just kept looking and peeked at them and looked right back and looking at their car. But it was great. That's probably the last time we had any problems in a pit. Which really wasn't a problem. It could have been, depending on how you handle it, you know?
Sure.
Everybody has high emotions in the Derby. It's a lot of work, a lot of emotion. I mean, it's basically fighting in cars, you know, and when things don't work out the way you want them to, you get upset.
Right.
But if you're a sore loser, man, work on it. That's all I got to say to my friends. Stop crying. Get better.
Butch Cisco just popped in.
I love Butch. Butch
Did you see?
Man,
Did you see James' new car?
Yes, that old Mopar he picked up from Rawa.
Yep.
Oh, that thing is beautiful, man. They're getting such cool stuff, and James and I are good friends. I give him parts for his drivers. He hits me up. He watches all these things that I get. He comes to the house and buys stuff from me. I sold him some Harley golf carts, and you know, he had a blast with those. And we're back and forth trading all the time, and just asking about his dad. And then his dad came with us to the banquet that Brett put on back in the springtime. And Butch, you know, he wanted to eat some dinner, and we had an extra ticket because Lex bailed on us. And Rachel's like, "Butch, you're our guest." And he wandered off, and he came back like 2 hours later, and he's like, "Oh, thank you for the meal ticket. That was delicious." And Rachel's like, "Butch, the meal's not for like 2 hours." And he just kind of like looks at us, and Rachel's like, do you think he already ate? And I'm like, "I don't know. He's out here. Don't worry about it." And then at dinner time, he showed up again and sat with us. We sat with the Germains and Jeffy and his wife. and there was another gentleman and his wife there. I'm sorry, I can't remember right now, but we had the time of our lives. Butch is a blast, and he won some parts and everything, so I helped him out to his car at the end of the night, carried him stuff out there and packed him up and sent him on his way, you know. He was sitting there watching us drink and act a fool, and yeah, he just sits there and smiles. But he's in good shape.
Mm-hmm.
He's still ready to get out there and bang, and he's not a bagger. Sometimes he tries to, but he can't do it forever. He falls weak.
I missed who it was, but there was somebody that had a derby and ended up, a young kid ended up going head to head with a gentleman that was 78, 79 years old and didn't win.
I shared that. It was the Hackett kid yesterday, dude. That's the kind of stuff that gets my heart in the derby. You know what I mean? That stuff is awesome. There's people of all walks of life, ages, that love the derby, and now with the youth program, it's bringing so many younger kids and females into it, and I can tell you, most of them are better than the boys. It's fun to watch them, because kids don't know what the work and effort it takes to do it. They just get in that thing and tear it up.
Right.
Mom, get me another one next week, or dad build me another one. It's cool, and from the inside, which kids are getting fed cars from mommy and daddy, and which kids are doing it themselves and showing mommy and daddy, just convincing them to give up the money. Either way, the parents are spending the money.
We got to see if James and Butch can make it out for episode 420 when you're up here.
James and Butch will definitely come out there. I will push them. I need to put it on the calendar.
Perfect.
It's always good to hang out with those guys. Jim hit me up the other day, and I was super busy. And we talked for probably a minute and a half, and he's like, "You're good, brother. I'm good. We'll catch up another time." And him and I have a relationship like that. We can have a short talk like that, and there's no hard feelings, because we're friends. People need to relax a little bit. Stop worrying about being judged by other people. Everybody's worried about being judged by other people. Just listen to each other. Yep. Be compassionate. We can do this together.
It's a big part of it. We got to run through.
It's okay to talk crap on somebody. It doesn't mean you don't like them. You're just pointing us out, like, hey, man, we need to tighten up over here.
We do want to take a minute and tell you a little bit about Jeffy's Fab Farm.
I need to shut up, Chris.
We're gonna run through some of the results from Smash Demolition Derby and the Unified Point Series up with TNT. They were in action over the weekend. We're gonna get through that stuff. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about Dalen and Cody Brown and Teddy Papadopoulos. They had some results that they're pretty proud of, and then we'll wrap this one up. So, real quick, we will be right back.
Jeffy's Fab Farm in Fredericksburg, Virginia specializes in all of your demolition derby needs. We've got you covered from bumper to bumper. Whether you need headers, shifters, harnesses, fueling systems, or complete turnkey setups, Jeffy'sFabFarm.com can help. We've even got a Canadian branch to help our northern customers. With over 16 years in the industry, we've got the knowledge and experience needed to provide the highest quality parts and put you in the winner's circle. Visit our website today or call Jeff at 540-907-3390. Fabby says the best parts come from the farm. Jeffy'sFabFarm.com.
Saturday was the last night for the month of August for Smash Demolition Derby. They're moving into their September program in Allen County. Smash full-size class. Austin Nickel got the win in Marysville. The Pro Stock mini class, Michael Winter won. He's from Lima. Patrick Obringer from St. Mary's won Street Stock full-size. Street Stock mini class. Brad Hadding from Cridersville got the win. And then the farm trucks, James Davey from Bellefontaine. That was, again, August 27th in Allen County. Portage had 2 nights of action. On the first night, Joe Repsick from Rootstown won the Pro Stock. Smash mini class went to Josh Burns from Louisville. David Simons from Austintown won Street Stock full-size. And the farm trucks was Nick Bonnert from Talmadge. Nick got 2 wins at Portage County. He won farm trucks on night number 2. The kicker class went to Will Butel from Alliance. Pro Stock was Jay Lovejoy from Ravina. Smash mini class was Sean Petrie from Manaway. Street Stock Mini was Jason Webb from Atwater. Youth Mini was Ashlyn Lohr from Talmadge. Again, Nick Bonnert. He won both nights in the farm trucks at Portage County. The schedule as it stands right now, 4th and 5th, is going to be Stark County. It's the only date in September for Smash Demolition Derby. Then they move into their October program. The final county fairs is Coshocton County, October 1st, and the 14th and 15th is Fairfield County. The annual fall show at Preble County is October the 15th, and then the annual fall cleanup event at the Fayette County Fairgrounds is scheduled for October the 22nd. Bring a car. They'll find someplace for you to run at that October 22 date. If you need more information, rules, locations, or even check up on your hometown fair's results, visit smashitderby.com. Demolition Derby Life magazine releases 12 copies a year and covers all of the action coast to coast for the Demolition Derby world, home of the hottest action motorsports magazine on the market. There's over 30 editions that have been published to date. A full year subscription is $119, and past issues are available. They should be coming out with another release here in the coming weeks. Make sure you jump online and follow along. Find out more about Lexi Droz and everything going on with Demolition Derby Life magazine on demolitionderbylife.com. The Unified Point Series wrapped up their August portion of the schedule in Hart, Michigan at TNT. Third show that they had with TNT up there in Michigan, and it was another outstanding program. Terry Abadi got the win in the youth program on Saturday. The minivan class, J.D. Lorene pulled the win down in that, and Steven Sickles was third there, but Steven was able to do a little bit better. He took the win in the bone stock class. Front-wheel drive stock class was James Freeman. J.D. Lorene was scheduled to go in that, but he'd already scored his 10 points for the win with the minivans, which was his 10th win on the year. So he loaded the car up and didn't come out for that one. Joel Tanner levied some seriously hard hits in the truck win. Joel Tanner winning the trucks in the full-size motor swap class. Jake Hall got the win in that. So your leaderboard at this point is J.D. Lorene, 144 points. Steven Sickles, 128. No changes back through the top 10. Ty Richards, Don Santel, Bill Miller, Trevor Jones, Cody Klumke, Mark Metz, Scotty Drevenek, Jeff Heinen. It's coming down to a two-horse race right now, and J.D. Lorene able to stay on top at this point. Again, he's picked up somewhere around, I believe it was 10 wins this year as they get ready to come back home to the Labor Day lockdown program with Hardcore, the 3rd and the 4th. So they got a little bit of time off before the Labor Day lockdown over there in Stoneboro, Pennsylvania. And then the week after that is Iron City Promotions on the 10th. That's in New Alexandria, Pennsylvania. And then we've got one more event scheduled to go in the month of September on the 23rd and 24th. That's Derby Icons Metal Mayhem in Champaign, Illinois. We're back at the final confrontation on the 1st and 2nd of October in Dunbar. And then that Preble Fall Derby that we talked about with Smash It, that event is going to be on the schedule in October as well. And that runs us down to the last couple shows here as it's getting a little bit tight at the top. It's only about, I think Mark said it was a couple of second-place finishes would end up really shuffling things. So we'll have to see what J.D. Lorene can do for the balance of this in terms of the virtual side of things. Labor Day Lockdown, hosted by Full Throttle, Misfits, and Hardcore teaming up. That's scheduled for September 2nd and 3rd. And then Street Stock Showdown number 3, Vito 324 Gaming, September the 24th. Hardcore's Fall Show is hosted by Storm Chaser, October 7th and 8th. And then Stars Fall Show is going to be October the 15th. Lookout Two-Man Nationals, October the 22nd. October 29th, Crash Course Nationals 5. The Turkey Derbies on the 19th. December 10th, the season finales. December Devastation, Vito 324 Gaming. Leaderboard right now, it's been dormant. Everybody's been off doing the real derbies. Andrew Hernandez still out in front, 70 points. 2 points behind is Kyle Homer, and Michael Coons is third. If you're looking for additional details, upcoming events, or just to follow up on the leaderboard, make sure you jump online, visit 527 Unified Series, and you get all the updates that you need from Mark Elliott and the 527 Unified Series at 527unifiedseries.com. And just to follow up on some of the stuff that we had mentioned before we went to break, Teddy Papadopoulos was with Caden Papadopoulos at Macon, Missouri, and Caden had the opportunity to hop into a minivan. There was like 26 cars that were entered. Caden ran it down to third, and Cody Brown and Dalen Brown were in action in Macon, Missouri, and those guys ended up picking up the win in Macon. And then they turned around and they ran RDP Team Rampage, which was a showcase of the virtual Golden Spike Arena. It was an excellent show, top to bottom. The A-Main, the win, and Mad Dog went to Team Money and Trevor Mulder. He brought the win home for Team LTI. Mulder was teamed with Dalton Rude. Second place was the giveaway team, which was just unbelievable in its own right. Traylon Foreman and Shannon Ranzenberger running that two-man team effort on a raffle win. They were entered in the event as Team DFWAI, and they ended up turning the tables on everybody, won that giveaway car. and there they were, second place. And then Brown Inc., Dalen and Cody come away with third overall in that one. On the B main, Darren Zoff got the win with that, with teaming with Brandon Reimer. And then Team Young and Reckless, RJ Martin and Charlie Roby ended up second in that one, and they elected not to move into the A main, and they kept their winnings. So that brings us through all of those final points that we wanted to hit on. Again, I saw some invites going on to the event for the High Banks Beatdown. That's in Salem, Indiana. We're still a little ways away from that one. That's Toast Show, October 21st and 22nd. So that covers all of that stuff. You still there?
Yeah, man. Toast is the real deal.
Have you had the chance to run any of his shows, or just met him?
We met him a couple times and know enough people that have ran his stuff, seen his products, seen his person, who he is. He's the real deal. It's cool. It's cool to see somebody like that. But yeah, other people out there like that you mentioned, like T-Pop. I wish he'd come on out east, man. I feel like he brought the Hewer boys out here that we could whip those guys up. I don't think they got nothing for us. It'd be fun to run against those guys. And Unified Points, like, I love Mark Elliott. He's the best. But JD and Sickles, both personal friends. Like, I love them as people. But they're baggers. Nobody wants to see somebody stand at the end of the line, stuffing the stuff in a bag. Man, get out there and do something. You guys are investing money and time in this thing, man. Put on a show. You guys are boring. Every time I watch you, I'm upset that I wasted my time instead of watching a hot dog. I'm out.
It's a season-long effort, and I appreciate what they're trying to do. It is no easy task to pull that off, and Steven Sickles, if he could somehow find his way up
they
to
do what it takes, man. Those guys are warriors, man. That's a tiring thing. The Stacy's competed in it, and it's expensive, and it's hard. You have to meet with so many people, their personalities, different tech crews.
Yep.
You know, I can tell you from experience, they got screwed from some people, you know, on the inside, and it's not right just to favor their family. And I lost respect for you that day. And I mean, it's hard for Mark. He's just putting the big shows, good shows that people like on the list. How does he know? And you shouldn't judge his overall series by one bad experience. You know, nothing is perfect, but he's out there putting a lot of work into it, and he's putting a good product out there. But I hate baggers. That's the end of that. I hate them. They're boring.
That's the biggest thing about the Unified Series is there's no responsibility on the driver to pay any type of registration fee to be part of the quote-unquote sanctioned event.
Don't. But look what Don Sansell did. He went out there with a big car. I mean, some call a mod car. I mean, it's a little lighter than that. But, you know, he's got expensive components on, expensive drivetrain. And he's out there trying to compete with these guys stripping out cars that are quick, easy builds and just out-driving people that don't have the same experience, you know. And they work the politics game. So when they get there, there's literally 15 guys on the track and 13 of them want your best friend, and 2 other guys, I feel bad for those guys. Right. You know, stop politicking. Dude, you've ran enough. Go out there and beat up some dude who thinks he's good at it. Leave the kids alone. You guys ain't no fun. JD King, stop trying to say that he's J-Rock. What a joke. Smith Metal Works out there bagging. You know, it was like the bagging bowl out there. I felt so bad for it. The Heileman got into it with Devin Germain one time, and it was so exciting. And they retaliated 2-3 shots, and then before I know it, they're back to abusing Mason Stacy. It was like child abuse. And I made a joke, and I told Michelle Guy that, you know, he was talking about Jonathan, and I was like, yo, he's a child abuser. She's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I seen him beating on Mason. Like, that stuff ain't right. You know, keep going out there, go fight Devin. You know, you think you're bad, go fight somebody your size. Why you guys gonna beat on this little kid? You know? And the people who were there at the end were Terry Abadi, you know, who was rocking the Derby light stuff on his car that day, and his little hat that said, show me your butthole. I'm not even sure how old that cat is, but, you know, he's a character. But he bagged all the way to the end with this other young girl, McKenna, like they stayed out of the action. And then J.D. King just out of the way of everywhere. You know, it's the first time I've ever seen those guys run. My girl's seen Uncle Nick run and said he's the same way. So I just can't have respect for you guys. You guys are going to rig stuff. You know, it's just not fair. I love Jason Sauer, and it sucks that he's part of those guys. And I hope this doesn't affect us at Iron City, but if you want to give us a hard time, like, we're prepared. You know, I like you guys. I like Steve Syope. He's a good dude. And the Kings have never done nothing to me. But from what I've seen, like, I don't like what you guys are doing. And I think people need to shine a light on it. It's probably not just an isolated incident.
Toast was tuning in, and Toast got tagged by Nick King, Toast Promotion, and Vince was right there. Thanks for the compliments. He heard you talking big about everything that Toast was up to, so that was good.
I've been poking at Nick King a little bit. You know, he had a football post the other day, and they were talking about the Steelers and like the Bengals or something. And I got on there. I was like, y'all are clowns. And Uncle Nick is like, who are you talking to? He's like, already. And I just ignored it. I thought it's hilarious. And, you know, it's a football response. You know, I'm a Raiders fan, like, relax, guy. But when you poke at somebody, you know, they're snapping at you. They're like little dogs, you know?
I do. I understand.
You know how little dogs are yappy and mean, you know? I think that's what's going on with those guys. They're like, you know, bagging little midgets or something. I'd love for those guys to come out this way, bring their stuff and get through tech, you know? Put on a good show. How about some of the good people, like build a fight card as to who's going to run against each other? That's what I'm looking at. It's coming.
I got a random text message and then a random phone call on a couple different occasions from Teddy Papadopoulos. He's got some family up this way, and he sent a picture of Robson's garage. He goes, "Who's got all the Derby cars up here by?" And he was talking about the interchange. And then another time he sent me a picture of the sign to Waterloo coming down 5 and 20. And then one time he actually called. Unfortunately, we weren't in town, and we were actually down in, I think we were down in the Carolinas at that point. We weren't able to get together, but it was good to see Teddy was up in this area. It wasn't anything that was Derby related. He's got some family, like I said, up in Seneca County.
I would drive up that way to run with those guys. You know, they seem like a great crew of people, and if you get a chance to meet folks, why not? You know, find out who they are for real, away from the crowd.
They're
Get
great
to know
guys.
people.
Nick's Johnny Alexander, he's checking in. Nick King is in the chat. Unfortunately, we are getting back to the top of the. Actually, flip that around. We're getting back to the bottom of the hour, and we're gonna have to roll on out of here. Jason, man, I appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us for a little while. I look forward to.
Thanks again, brother. Man, it's been great. I'm definitely coming back, and I'll tone it down a little bit.
I'll catch up with you on episode number 420 up here at the FingerLakes1.com studios.
I'll see you in 2 weeks, brother.
We'll see you in a little bit.
Later.
There goes Jason, Johnny Alexander, checking in, and we are going to real quick go to the Alex Vasco piece, and then we're going to get on out of here. Hang on 1 second. We'll tell you a little bit about All For Him Racing.
Where'd you go?
We did the derby.
Ow, my head! You want to do a derby?
Hey Derby World, this is All For Him Racing Videos, where Derby never ends. We have people come up and ask, what is All For Him Racing Videos? And the answer is a YouTube channel dedicated to growing the sport of demolition derby in a positive and fun way. Our passion is to show the next generation the sport and capture the memories for generations to come. We're just trying to show that you can be a Christian, do crazy and exciting things like demolition derby, and just spread the word. We have traveled all over the country filming events, all while meeting many great people, hearing amazing stories, seeing the passion for this sport, and falling in love with the derby community. We have grown to be the largest demolition derby channel on YouTube across the world, with millions of views within our large library of videos. We love what we do and can't wait for what the future has in store. We always want to be a place for positive, exciting, and action-packed derby videos. Thank you, Derby World, and enjoy the videos.
And wrapping up episode number 413, I like we were saying, I'm going to just real quick clarify something that the 527 Unified Series operates independent, just like we were talking about with the virtual side of things. They accept a registration fee. The event is added, and after that, I don't believe Mark has anything to say about the rules, what does or doesn't run, so we're going to leave it at that. I don't really know what else. There was a question in the live chat about what was being rigged. I don't know what the circumstances were, and it's getting close to the end of the show. We've already gone an hour and a half. We're going to get everything loaded up. Feel free to tell a friend, share it around, and we look forward to catching up with everybody again, probably towards Tuesday or Wednesday next week. We're going to have Labor Day off. We'll be closed here, and look forward to it. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. Hunter Wood, I didn't take it as negative. I was unclear on if you were talking about Jesse, like in the Thunderbirds, or if I had said something inadvertent about one of the RDP events. So no harm, no foul, man. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot for watching. Appreciate all the sponsors and everybody that makes it possible. Thanks for inviting us into your home. We'll see you again next time on episode number 414 of The Crash Course.
The Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLinks1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.